Welcome everybody to Lightning Talks at day 2. The first talk has been cancelled apparently because Mattis is not here. If we will appear later, we'll have his talk afterwards. Anyway, we'll start now with Florian Burkhardt talking about open source and pandemic influenza. We only have 6 talks today, so I'll give him about 6 or 7 minutes. I'll tell you 1 minute before the end that you should hurry a bit. So go on.
Excellent. Hello. Well, my name is Florian Burkhardt, and I would like to talk the next 5 minutes about the common success strategies of open source software and, well, you see pandemic influenza. And it does seem like a far stretch, and it is a far stretch, but it's a great way to catch attention. And it also illustrates common principle in both worlds, meat space and cyberspace, because in both worlds we encounter similar problems, and when we have similar problems, we usually have similar solutions. And in cyberspace, you have the challenge to write code, write good code, and to make it more efficient, and also to optimize your code. And one solution has been that you start sharing your code with the open source community. And by doing that, you basically say, or you share your code and you give away your, well, intellectual property, and you ask others to improve on that, so that the end result is more than its part, and it's better suited to solve your problems. And in the biological world, you have a similar problem. Every organism has its genetic code, and you are constantly under, you find yourself, or the organisms find themselves under constant changing environmental conditions. And now, not looking at the individual organism, but looking at the whole species over time, you need to ensure that your offspring, or your, I don't know, 100th generation offspring, has the same survival chances. And evolution came up with a quite good tool for doing this, and it's sexual reproduction, where you basically change large chunks of your genome, you exchange it with each other, and this should be seen opposed to the normal genetic mutation that occurs, because here you really exchange large parts and large chunks of your genome. And even bacteria have sexual reproduction. Viruses do not have or within the next, well, 10 or 15 years. So I skip this. You can download it from the wiki. It just says the same. So the summary is that code sharing is quite a very old, tested and very proven strategy in evolution to optimize your biological or digital program code. And well, yeah, this was it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I have not prepared any slides because I think would be overkill for 5 minutes. I just want to give you an idea. You all have, I guess, mobile devices like cell phones, and they get smarter and smarter every day. And nowadays, we also have a new phenomenon, instant messaging. Probably most of you have ICQ accounts or use AOL Instant Messenger or whatever. But of course, there's a better solution for that for geeks, which is the Jabber protocol, which is an open protocol. It's an RFC internet standard, and basically you use XML things to exchange messages. You can do a lot more than just chatting and see who's online. And yeah, basically instant messaging has evolved to be something like the missing link between email communication and a telephone call. A telephone call has the disadvantages that you play this tag game with people, like you give them a call and then they are not there, and you try it again and they are not there, and then they try to call you, but you are out for lunch. So there's a problem to see when they're online, so to say. Email is another problem. You send off an email, and depending on the person and their discipline to check their email boxes, it can take maybe days for them to respond. So instant messaging really fills this gap that you can have instant communication and also can exchange electronic data like with email. And more people use this for businesses, and Jabber, of course, because it's not proprietary, because it's not owned by one company, and anyone can set up a Jabber server, is the ideal thing for that. Now, wouldn't it be great to have that on your mobile phone? There are already ideas how to do that, and there is also source code available on the internet for mobile phone Jabber clients, but I think up to now we have not seen the ideal solution, and we have not seen an integration of that Jabber client into a web interface, for instance. There's a great web interface called JW Chat, which is done by some guy from Berlin, and basically brings Jabber to your desktop, to your browser. And now what we need is bringing Jabber to your mobile phone and stop using this annoying SMS thing. We've been working on that, commercially. We've reviewed quite a few Jabber servers and quite a few, parts, open source parts, how to put them together and how to have a really round product. It's not ready yet, but we've already registered the domain name, of course, because that's the first thing that you do. We call this Mabber, mabber.com, mabber.com. And if you look at it now, you can, well, enter your email address and you will get notified when we will start, which will be in the very soon future. I don't want to make promises, but it's going to be awesome. And if you want to have a look at it, well, we can have a talk afterwards. CCC people would be, of course, very welcome as beta testers. It will be commercial after some time, but it will be built out of open source blocks, building blocks. For instance, we reviewed a lot of Jabber servers to get the job done. We wrote a lot of code for a nice web front end, and of course there's a very classy Java-based mobile phone client that you can use. And I hope that for the first time we have put together the right building blocks, and I just wanted to point you to that internet address, mebba.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Jens. I just subscribed to your newsletter. I hope you won't spam it. Well, anyway, the next talk is done by Philipp Drössler about post-structured journalism. Is Philipp here in the room?
Actually, yes.
Oh, cool. Okay, so just go on and have fun.
If you look at the wiki of this conference, there's a list of blogs that report about this conference, and it's about 3 pages long. Since about 6 years, weblogs have turned from something that people don't do to something people just do. And we now have podcasts and video blogs in addition to that, and many people use blogs as a digital diary or a way to rant about their lives. But there are people who want to do more than that, who want to do actual journalistic content with digital media. There are groups like the Gothamists and Metroblogs, which have planet-spanning networks that do such things, but they encounter 2 problems. The one thing is, if you remember the terrorist attacks in London or the earthquakes in Pakistan or the ever natural disaster last year, the old media, newspapers, television, radio, actually turned to bloggers for information, because bloggers have the benefit of not being confined in a deep structure, not having to ask for money, guidance, allowance by their supervisors, by whoever they work for. So they can get there fast. They can get the information when it happens, not when they get allowed to get it. But since most bloggers aren't structured, they just have their domain and their little blog system, we don't get the credit. It's just, oh, nice, it's the bloggers. Look, they wrote something, we can use it. Hey, hi, bloggers. That's not very good. And the other thing is, a journalist has many problems. If they work for a conservative newspaper, they can't write, and they find out that the conservative presidential candidate has sexual tendencies towards goats, they can't write about it, because it would be against the line of the media they work for. A blogger can do this, and they will do it if they are at least a bit honest. But there's a magic word, and the thing that distributes a blogger from an actual journalist is accreditation. If you're accredited with a newspaper or a TV station or a radio station, you get a nice little piece of plastic saying press journalist, and you can go around and wave it around, and people just talk to you. They give you answers, they give you information, resources. You can go to press conferences. Bloggers can't do this because what do you want? It doesn't work right now. And where I come from in Austria, since about 6 months, there's been a law in effect that forces bloggers to note their name, their address, and contact information on their weblog, to give up their privacy, because the Constitutional Court ruled that weblogs equal journalistic content. But another law states that unless you get paid for being a journalist, which most bloggers don't, because who would pay themselves, they can't get accredited as a press reference. So we get all the blame and all the responsibility, but none of the good stuff. And it's much worse in other places. For example, if you live in the Middle East, in some non-democratic country, you can get beheaded for operating a blog. It happened, or in the Southeast, in Asia. But as a journalist, you have a specific safety layer above that. If somebody arrests you, if somebody hassles you, can say, wait a second, I'm a free journalist. You can't do that to me. Bloggers can't do that. So the thing is, bloggers have a huge chance to create actual content that is not limited by who they work for or what they're assigned to right now. If you're a sports journalist and you're happening about this great political story, chances are you won't be able to do it because you're a sports journalist. There are no sports bloggers. Well, there are sports bloggers, but they're not confined to that. The other thing is, let's say you're a really good photographer and you come across this big oil leak next to a refinery in the middle of a city, and you make a great photo about it, but you can't write for shit. Then you just have the photo, and you can put it on Flickr or somewhere, but it's just a picture, and nobody will say, okay, what was that about? On the other hand, if you're a great writer, but you don't own a camera or are unable to operate it, you see the same oil leak, and you say, oh man, I gotta write about this. But people come across your weblog and see, what, all this text and no picture, no videos, and no bells and whistles, why should I read this? So the other thing we can do that old media can't do is we could cooperate. We could say, hey, I can photograph, you can write, let's do this together. But except for some networks like Gothamist or the Metroblogs or others, this isn't done yet. So the reason why I have a lightning talk and an actual talk is because I have all these nice things to say, but no solutions right now. One thing that I think definitely needs to be done is we need to find a way to get the rights that journalists have if we have the responsibilities that journalists have. If we need to denote, I wrote this, I can be contacted this way. If you want to arrest or sue me, I'm here. Then we need to be allowed to do the same things that journalists do. We need to get the protection and the same access to information. This, I think, can only be done through judicial processes, through law. So this means that if anyone here from some
and together with the filled-in form, have your identity verified from us, and then get the necessary points for your account. The idea is that you have a web-based account on on the website of CI-CERT, and we are verifying your identity and issuing trust points on that account. And as soon as you have enough trust points from us, you can issue the certificates yourself whenever you want. At the moment, there is a free market of about 4,000 assurers doing it worldwide. Here on the Congress, we succeeded to make it for free available. Yes, there is a complex point scheme behind it, which has the idea that we have the 4 I's principle, and that the people can learn to do it without doing too much, without being able to do too much problems. The account is lifelong, so you can use it whenever you want. You don't need to get a certificate now. You can get it in 10 years if you don't need it at the moment, but you can be verified now, and so that should help. The certificates themselves are free of charge forever. The assurance, where we verify your identity, can cost you something when the assurer asks you for money for it or something else. And here on the Congress, it is free. The technology, we have X509 certificates, client certificates, server certificates, code signing certificates, and OpenPGP signatures, so everything you want. If someone develops a new system, we might also support it soon. The security, we are currently being included in Nokia 770, Gentoo, Debian, Knoppix, MirrorOS, and a couple of other distributions which I can't all remember. And we are currently being audited by Mozilla. I hope that we will finish it in 2006 to finish the audit, and then we will also be included in with Microsoft and all the other vendors. The source code of the CI-CERT platform is we're building on standard modules like OpenSSL and GNU-PG, and also the source code of our management system is available for review. At the moment, we have about 40,000 users out there who are giving a lot of bug reports and everything. We have issued 80,000 certificates until now. We have 4,000 assurers. About 700 of them are in Germany at the moment. We're in more than 29 countries. And the website is translated in about 14 languages. Yes, more information are on www.ciacert.org and on wiki.ciacert.org. Yes, here are the forms. You can come to me, you can come to the colleagues, and then please, I will invite you here now to our booth on the first floor. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And by the way, we are searching for developers. If someone is interested to join our team, be welcome.
Okay, that's it. Have a nice Congress. Lightning talks today are over. Bye.